And welcome into the Monday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, back in the saddle. Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, welcome back to town. What's going on?
Thank you. Not much. Glad to be back. Had a lot of adventures, doing a lot of stuff, and we've had some college football, and we got a full, ridiculously awesome week of college football ahead. We're done with NFL preseason games.
It's a good week.
I'd say it's a pretty good time right now.
It's a very good week. There's actual, real-life college football, hopefully not played in a total rainstorm like we saw in Ireland over the weekend, which I'll discuss later. But yes, very much looking forward to college football coming up this weekend. Tennessee in action, Vanderbilt in action. We've made it to week one. By the way, again, we've talked about this probably 1,000 times, but I just looked at the schedule again over the weekend. And I was like, yeah, next week's going to be pretty awesome. A lot of really good stuff in the college football front.
Yeah, I can't remember like 5 games that good in a week one.
Yeah.
Usually you expect 2 or 3, but we got some bangers.
We got some bangers coming up in college football this weekend. Roster cut down day tomorrow in the NFL. So we will take your thoughts on the Titans throughout the show today, 615-737-1025. And we'll get into the different roster projections and position battles that we're looking at and all these different things throughout the show as well. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock, and we'll get his perspective on the Titans as we are now, Joe, officially in preparation for Denver. Their NFL preseason mercifully over. Roster cut down day tomorrow, and then it's the real thing. Titans and Broncos coming up on September 7th.
Yeah. I actually like this. I think the first year of this with the one less game, it's like, man, you have such a long time. But like normally this week of college football it's I remember like a Vanderbilt, South Carolina game. And then like the Titans also had a preseason game, like against the Chiefs or something on Thursday night. I remember like, oh, you're not at the Titans game? I'm like, no, Titans game is completely pointless. Tell me who their backup gunners are. This is a college football game that is an SEC game. And to not have the NFL clutter that up and this is like one of the few, like they just kind of take a step back. They get the roster cuts and then they're just practicing for a while. It's kind of weird, but with college football filling that void, I like it.
I agree. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Oh, doing great. Good to see you, Joe. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good weekend. Just want to say it was awesome to be at the Aaron Donnick celebration of life on Saturday. To see everybody, it was amazing. All the outreach and the support, and I don't even know how many hundreds of people were there, but
people were saying more than 1,000.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's a number.
It was standing room only for sure. Then a giant, kind of art warehouse thing.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. All types of people, from stars and family and Preds people and media people, and it was just great to see. And Willie said some awesome words. His kids went up there and spoke, and they were amazing. Vince Gill was there, did a couple of songs. It was just awesome to be there, and wishing them all the best for sure. But yeah, had a great weekend and getting ready for a fun week of football, huh?
Fun week of football. Yeah.
Doing great.
Yeah, it's absolutely good stuff. Well said there. And, this weekend, looking ahead to what it's going to be on the college football front. We got a lot to get into on that front this week. We will get into Tennessee and Vanderbilt and look at their seasons and, Diego Pavia, the impact he's going to have. Joey Aguilar, starting quarterback for Tennessee. We'll get Joe's thoughts on that later in the show. Joe's thoughts on the SEC schedule moving to 9 games coming up as well. So we got a lot of things to get to on the program here today. We will also, later in the show, give away our first spot of the week in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. We have 6 spots to give away this week. So we're going to give away one a day until Friday, and on Friday we will have 2 spots to give away. So a lot of people have been asking about it. We will have the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League spots to give away starting today. Fantasy draft looking like hopefully going to be next Wednesday. So looking forward to that.
So the six people, the 3 of us, Kaharski, somehow we're we're letting my kid stay in the league.
Correct.
I guess he really wants to be in the league.
And then our defending champion,
lose.
Kyle, from last
and
year.
then Kyle, who won it last year. There you go.
So
Okay, so 12 team.
12 team.
Okay.
So we got some work to do on the fantasy football front this week, but we will have our first giveaway on the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League later in the program today. Joe, PK and TD have both come out with their 53-man roster projections for the Titans, and they're not the only ones, but we have PK and TD on the show a lot throughout the course of a week, and it's interesting to look at it from both of their perspectives because, as we've discussed, there's not a ton of like roster battles that the Titans have, even heading into this last game. Like, who's going to start an inside linebacker? How many receivers are they going to keep? How many tight ends are they going to keep? What's the numbers game kind of look like there? And I'm looking at TD and PK both, and they both have the Titans keeping 7 receivers in their 53-man roster projection. We talked last week, Joe, about how it feels like the Titans really need Chim DK to win the punt return job, because if he does, you're talking about probably 6 wide receivers at that point, and you're not having to spend an extra spot for your 7th to really be your 6th in Prochet to be active on game day there. Well, PK and TD both have Prochet on this roster. So as you kind of look through the decisions that the Titans are going to have here in the next couple of days, and Brian Callahan said over the weekend he's not looking forward to these couple of days coming up, what stands out to you about the roster, the numbers game that the Titans are going to have to decide here, and how you think that may shake out for the Titans over the next 2 days?
Well, like looking at TD's heavy, like you said, and he and Karski both have the 7 receivers at Prochet, 4 backs also. So where, that leaves you light somewhere. A lot of teams have 3 backs. Some teams go 5 receivers. Very few teams go more than 6 receivers in my experience of following this stuff. So that's quite a bit. One difference, because TD's D line is 4 guys. And that, which is just Simmons, Sweat, Joseph Day, and James Lynch. There haven't been many people standing out in that, other than those guys, right? But that just seems light to me. Kaharski has Timmy Horn as his 5th defensive lineman, and I couldn't tell you, honestly, much about Timmy Horn.
Yeah,
okay,
nor could I.
I couldn't tell you much about Timmy Horn. I thought Raines was a guy who it made some plays in some of the preseason games as a guy who maybe would have a chance here. But, yeah, I think it's a D-line, and then it's also O-line. Both of those guys have 9 offensive linemen. Some teams do keep a full 10, like a full first and second group kind of idea. But you would be a little bit lighter in the trenches if this is how it plays out. But, yeah, I mean, to me, it's just 7 receivers seems crazy. But I get it, because if Prochet is a guy who's just too good as a punt returner, then Oliver is so important in various aspects of special teams.
Yeah.
And you're not going to cut either of the rookies. And all of a sudden, everybody's I missed all the yelling at Van Jefferson, and now Van Jefferson's awesome now. He's okay. He's good. He's
looked
fine.
like A.J. Brown out there the other night.
Yeah. I mean, he should have caught that ball, by the way.
He should have.
Yeah. He should have caught that ball. Like a guy who was fighting for a job probably lays out and catches that ball in a preseason game. Van Jefferson, but I mean, I think he's going to make it, right?
On the other night.
He did. So we know Ridley and Lockett. So I mean, I guess I just would, if I were the Titans, I would really be leaning into the idea of DK handling that.
I agree.
And then having another guy in the trenches.
Well, it feels like tight end is also going to be a spot where they're light, so to speak, right? I mean, last year on the initial 53, they kept 5 tight ends. They had 5 tight ends out of camp last year. And TD and PK both have them at 3 this year, and those 3 being obviously Chig, Gunnar Helm, and David Martin Robinson. As PK points out in his piece, he says, Thomas Odukoya seems to have run his course here. And he said, and it's pretty clear the team doesn't like Josh Wiley. if they want a fourth tight end, they should shop.
Yeah, Wiley's out playing at the very end of these games. That's not a good sign.
Not a good sign for him, and it kind of feels like he's going to be cut here. So maybe tight end a spot where you look at the initial 53, and they're pretty light there with just 3 guys, and then you figure that out somewhere else. Maybe it is 7 receivers. Like how many offensive linemen are they going to be keeping? I think TD's got him at 10, and PK has got him at 9. So what's the offensive line situation going to look like there? And, how do you feel about your tackle depth? I feel good about Dan Moore and JC Latham. And then beyond that, you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. So the numbers game part of it could be pretty interesting for the Titans over the next 2 days. I would be surprised based on the way things kind of shook out in the preseason, though, if with guys that we know, not counting the waiver wire, there's more than 3 at the tight end spot.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. And Odekoya, obviously been here for a few years and has developed and all that stuff. But DMR, there's a lot of hype for him a year ago. Didn't exactly play out. I think we're seeing like he's a guy who I think we're going to see on the field some this year for this team. So good for him.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. The preseason is wrapped up for the Tennessee Titans. We'll continue the conversation on some roster decisions that the Titans have to make. Plus, we will get into Cam Ward as the hour goes along as well. How ready do we feel like he is for week 1 against Denver? All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The next couple of days, maybe the early part of this week, look like where you obviously want to move forward and start prepping, but you also have to make moves and you have players that might not be here?
Yeah, that's always the challenge. This week's challenge is always that, the practice. You walk out there for the first time on Tuesday and after the cut process, and there's all of a sudden it's like, where'd everybody go? There's your practice squad's not there yet. It's only the 53 guys. It looks very different. Then you get your practice squad guys back the next day, and it still feels a little bit unique, but got to get some work done still. We don't try to jump too far ahead. We'll do a little bit of advanced prep on Denver, but you just try to use this week to kind of one more week of training camp, essentially, as far as fundamentals go and practice goes. You don't want to get too far into Denver 2 weeks ahead. You get a little bit over analysis that goes on there. So a small introduction, and we're just still working on trying to get better.
That's Brian Callahan on what the process will look like this week for the Tennessee Titans. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Roster cut down day tomorrow in the National Football League. And Joe, we went through some of the interesting positions to watch here. And then you also have to factor in that the Titans have the number one spot on the waiver wire. Now, I think we've probably made a little too much of that. Like, it's not like the Titans are going to find, their number 2 wide receiver on the waiver wire coming up. At least I don't think so. But they do have their pick of the litter of, when guys are getting cut around the league, if they're 2, 3, 4 guys that they've had their eye on that they think could come in and help them, well, they're going to have the opportunity to bring those guys in. So maybe more so than normal, does the roster get churned a little bit here in the next couple of days, just in terms of players that have been in other organizations that the Titans feel like could come in and help them, maybe specifically at either edge rusher or cornerback?
Yeah, I would think so. Absolutely. I'll be surprised if we don't have some new names that are coming in here, because, some of these teams, like some of the guys they're cutting or at certain positions, you would think would be a clear upgrade. And when you have that top pick. So yeah, I do think we'll see some of that. And you're probably right on those two positions.
Another one I wonder about would be
Especially
running back too. Yeah. Like this, are the Titans happy with, we'll see what Spears and his availability looks like, but are they happy with the Chestnut Mullings combo at the back part of that room, where does somebody shake free at running back where they're like, yep, we'll take that guy?
Yeah, that could definitely happen. Chestnut looks good. He looks good out there.
Sweet hurdle the other night. That was good stuff.
Hurdling, he's catching passes. He's good in pass pro, but that is a good call. That could definitely you could definitely even again, like receiver. The problem is, though, again, like you're committed to the 2 young guys.
Right.
You kind of feel like you've got 2 guys who are locked into special, again, if Prochet is in there, whether he is or not. Bryce Oliver, I think, is a special teams guy, so it's like, I guess I wouldn't expect them to make any moves, but it's still like, could you see a receiver being left exposed who could come right in and slot in there somewhere? I would think so.
Yeah. Of the receiving rooms in the NFL, this one seems like it could be pretty ripe for that, right? Like just somebody that shakes free that maybe you don't expect that could come in and be a contributor for you.
A D lineman.
Yeah.
Again, I think, I think like James Lynch is solid. I think he did some good things in the preseason. Joseph Day, solid, but I could absolutely see someone there that they would want to gobble up too. So yeah, I think we're gonna have some churn here beyond just your typical cuts because of where they are.
Well, and then the starting part of this, what are they doing at inside linebacker? Cedric Gray came on the last couple of weeks here and looked pretty good. And PK was talking last week about how few guys really on the team in general, but specifically on the defensive side of the ball, have popped, right? Like have really stood out with some of the plays that they've made. Obviously, Simmons has done that, but beyond that, there's not been a ton. So to get, that out of Cedric Gray the last couple of weeks, look, I still think regardless of who the starter is there, he and James Williams are probably both going to play a lot. PK was talking about how, they could use, they could be in dime, and you got 3 safeties out there a lot too. So we'll see what that looks like. Kevin Winston, how healthy is he going to be heading into the year? So there's a lot that goes into that, but inside linebacker going to be interesting to see who's starting there. And then at edge rusher, at outside linebacker, like, we know Draymond Jones and Arden Key are going to play a lot. I thought Oladejo had a better game in the final game of the preseason, so that was good to see. Blake Bedingfield at paulkuharski.com was encouraged by some of the things that he saw from Oladejo in the preseason finale. So does he – I guess my question for him is, like, when we get through week 1 and we look at the snap count, like what's the snap percentage that Oladejo is going to be out there? That's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, no, that will be. And I agree that he really needed to, show out a little bit and probably build some confidence there. Got to say, man, I Cedric Gray, very impressed with and James Williams makes some plays. I feel like Gray, that'd be my pick right now, is that he's going to be the starter.
I agree.
And that's a really encouraging. That's the type of thing that the Titans need, is they need some of these early, sort of stagnant roster young guys to all of a sudden emerge and, like you said, pop. Which I got to think, Gray, Williams, I mean, it's at least Rand boiling some water, right? I mean, that's something. It's not bad. You're getting something out of that class. But seriously, with Barton and what we've seen there, I think that's all of a sudden that was like going into the preseason, one of those, like, my goodness, who the heck is playing in at linebacker? Yeah. Maybe they're going to be okay.
Let Rand simmer. Let's let that thing simmer a little bit.
Go. Let Rand simmer. I like it. Good job, Rand.
Yeah. Way to go, Rand. Nice job, buddy.
Wasn't all bad. Yeah. We're here. Hey, we're keeping score. We're still keeping score.
Get some work in out there. Yeah, and then on the specialist front, there was a lot of concern from Titans fans last week about Johnny Hekker. He had been shanking some punts. Joey Slye missed the extra point in Atlanta, and you're like, okay, so what's that going to look like? And then Joey Slye gets out there this weekend and just absolutely destroys a 63-yard field goal, which, Joe, people say this a lot. I think that one legitimately could have been good from like 72 yards. It was unbelievable.
It was a 70-yarder for sure, no doubt. Then he gets the nice doink on the 50.
Yeah.
So living right, man.
Feeling good about Joey Slye.
He's kind of jacked too.
Yeah, he is.
They showed him in the post-game little locker room speech. Didn't have a shirt on.
He's the Ed Hockley of kickers.
Yeah,
he must work out.
If the kickers are going to have some sort of physical combat out there, he'd be near the top of the league, I think.
Hey, kickers got to make tackles sometimes.
That's true.
So,
got to factor that in.
That's right.
I mean,
he's out there. He's out there head hunting. People are like running out of bounds when they see him approaching.
Yeah, I mean, look, when they lined up for the 63-yarder, I was like, well, before he hit it, I was like, this is kind of why they got him, right? Like, this is why they made the move to move on from Nick Folk, who was, really good for the Titans the last couple of years. So I was like, let's see if he's got enough leg. And then he kicked it, and I was like, yep, he's got enough leg. Cool. Good stuff.
There you go. So, and who knows? Maybe he'll just be amazing all the way around. Folk, he was pretty consistent, pretty reliable at a certain distance. But, yeah, it's kind of fun to have someone where you're just get past midfield, and it's like, hey, might be able to get 3 points out of this.
A lot of people asking us if the Titans should go claim Shiloh Sanders, who apparently was, I guess, waived by the Buccaneers. So, Shiloh Sanders, yes or no? Do you think that's happening? I'm going to go no.
I'm going to probably say I think that he's obviously famous, and so he comes from a famous family. He was an okay college player, but yeah, I did not think that he was an NFL player.
No.
At Colorado.
And that's like the one spot on the Titans where you look at it and you're like, yeah, pretty decent depth there, especially if Winston's healthy.
Yeah, that's right. That would be, exactly. It also does not at all match up with the Titans need like their safety group does. You're looking at it, you're like, geez, you're getting down to some pretty decent players who are reserves there. We're not used to seeing that.
We're going to get into the Cam Ward discussion coming up here in just a few minutes. But, Joe, I do want to get your thoughts since you were not here last week. L'Jarius Sneed back out there for the Titans. We'll see if and when he does some team stuff at practice coming up over the next couple of weeks. But your thoughts on Sneed getting back on the field? It looks like his legal situation, he is in a much better spot than he was on that front as well. So things at the moment looking up for L'Jarius Sneed. Your thoughts on that development for the Titans?
I mean, is that pot about to boil over?
Could be.
L'Jarius Sneed works out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my goodness, that kitchen is just absolutely on fire.
Amy
But
calls
not
Rand back.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Rand,
You're unfired.
would you like to be a consultant? I'm
No.
paying you anyway, so you might as well come on down.
I think he still lives here, right?
I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You can still do your media job with CBS Sports.
I mean, whatever you can get out of L'Jarius Sneed, get it out of L'Jarius, So it's a good development. It's cautious. I don't even know if it's cautious optimism. It's like cautious skepticism, if that's even a thing.
I think that's correct. Yes.
But hey, it's better than us sitting here saying, "Wow, is L'Jarius Sneed ever gonna, put on cleats again?" So maybe, hey, you put him in there. Corners start, everything kind of fits in place. Like you said, safeties look all right. Inside linebacker looks better to me than it did. I still have no edge rushers, but I mean, there's some things on the defense that have gotten better.
So perhaps the fundamental question for the Titans heading into week 1 here is, how ready is Cam Ward? How ready is Cam Ward for regular season NFL football, and in particular, the defense that it looks like he's going to see in game 1, if last year is any indication of what this Denver defense could be? We'll get into that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. We'll have later in the show the first spot to give away in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League, which Ian Safar back there, he's got a confident smile on. He's doing prep work for
No,
the
not
Fantasy
yet.
Football League.
No, I actually did start listening to some fantasy sports radio XM this weekend for the first time.
Yeah, see?
Just to
Ian's getting in there.
get the juices flowing and see what's going on.
We've never had to deal with Ian's scheme.
I know.
In this league.
I'm a little worried about it.
Keezer was an
Last
easy
year, we had
mark.
Keezer, who sometimes would, be worried about games that were happening 5 weeks from now. Instead of
I
right
mean,
now.
Love you, Keezer.
We do love Keezer.
I can't promise I'm going to be great at fantasy football, but I'm going to try.
We'll see. We'll see.
And I enjoy fantasy football. I play. I like. I've been playing a lot of DFS lately,
Yeah.
daily fantasy,
Oh, yeah.
like the DraftKings and FanDuel, fantasy stuff, and not just betting. So that's been fun the last
Yeah.
couple of years. I'd like to do that.
Absolutely.
So
Well, Ian's a ringer. Got
Yeah.
our work cut out for us heading
Yeah,
into
I've
all
never
this.
done any of that.
Got our work cut out for us. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Cam Ward. He is now a full body of work in the preseason under his belt. He will be the starting quarterback heading into all this. He's taken on a Denver defense that was really good a year ago and has a chance, I think, to be really good again on the defensive side of the ball this year. And it was interesting. Brian Callahan over the weekend was asked basically about, how much is Cam Ward's life about to change going from preseason training camp to the real thing in week 1 against Denver. Here's what Brian Callahan had to say.
First and foremost, very, very, very stiff test right out the gate with the defense in Denver. Very talented, very well coached, good football teams, good test for our team in general. So, it's going to be a lot different than a preseason game, certainly. That's part of what practice is for, is to try to get as close to that preparation as possible. But, it's going to be the first time against a really good football team that he's going to play the entirety of the game. And there's going to be learning moments through the course of the whole process. But I think he's up to the task. We're ready for that challenge and looking forward to it. But, it's definitely, there is no correlation, I don't think, in my mind, from preseason play to your regular season. There's no ability to make any prediction of what that's going to look like. Very pleased with where we're at and what we've done, but certainly the Denver Broncos present an entirely different challenge in week 1.
So Cam Ward's preseason, Joe, here's the stats that Kuharski compiled together. 10 of 19, 145 yards, did not throw a touchdown, did not throw an interception, got sacked 1 time, and had a passer rating of 77.8. Now, again, you're talking about preseason football, a very, very limited sample size of preseason football. But in totality, when you think about being the number 1 overall pick, the training camp that he had, the preseason games that we got to watch him in, and now heading up against Denver in week 1, how ready do you believe Cam Ward is for week 1 against the Denver Broncos?
I think that he's in a pretty good position. I can't say that I would have expected a lot more in terms of what we've seen from him. At times, it seems like he's rushing a little bit. The footwork isn't right. He's made a few mistakes. He's going to make mistakes this year. He's made a few throws where you're like, okay. Yeah. Again, one of the throws the other night where it's like kind of like, I guess, not like off platform, but his feet aren't exactly right, but the arm makes up for it. And he does have that. I mean, he's got the ability to just with his arm put some zip on some passes that, you're like, okay, that's not like everybody, I feel like he seems to be, for the most part, seeing things pretty well. Again, so much of this is about the operation and just about being able to not have delays and just get the protection right, all these things. And again, he's going to get fooled once you get into real games and game plan some of these defenses, and there's going to be some rough moments. But I think he's in a pretty good position, and I think that if the offensive line is what it is suggesting, and very much different from what it suggested the last 2 years going into the season, then I think that's a big deal too. And he's going to be able to actually sit back there, have a decent running game and do some damage. I mean, I think he's in a pretty good spot. I think people have to be realistic. But how many Titans fans expect Cam Ward to go out and throw for 303 touchdowns to beat the Broncos, right? I mean, I think people who are following this team closely are fairly realistic about what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope so.
I think I'm with you. Like, I think he's in a good spot. I wasn't blown away by him in the preseason, right? Like, I don't think you walked away from the preseason saying, "Oh, this kid is he's already top 10 quarterback in the league." Like, it's unbelievable how ready he is. So, I think there are going to be some natural growing pains. I mean, I think Denver is going to be a really tough challenge for him. Like, I think, number one, going on the road in the altitude for your first game, how do you handle that? And then, the different looks that are going to be presented to him. And Callahan talked about that a little bit. Like, it's just different going from the preseason to week one in the regular season in terms of all the different things you're going to be exposed to. And I would imagine on the Denver side of things, you've got a rookie quarterback that you're taking on in his first NFL game. You're going to see them do a lot of things. Like, Vance Joseph, their DC, is probably going to throw the kitchen sink at Cam Ward and see what he can handle. So what does that look like? It's probably going to lead to some mistakes. The one thing I feel really good about is his connection with Ridley. And I know Ridley had been out there the last few days, but that was a consistent thing throughout camp, was he and Ridley together on the same page making plays. And we know how important that's going to be for him throughout the season here. But having that as a baseline of feeling like you're in a pretty good spot between those two heading into the season is a big deal. We talked about this with Kuharski last week. Who's the number 2 guy for the Titans? I don't know. I don't know if they got one right now. It could be a different guy every week. Like, maybe one week it's Tyler Lockett. Maybe the next week it's Gunnar Helm. I have no idea the way that's going to shake out. I said this the other night in the preseason game. I like Io Manor. Like, Io Manor and the ability to just catch the ball, sure-handedness. I like him. You're also talking about a 4th-round rookie going into his first game. So there's plenty of question marks with the offense. But, like, I guess I would describe Cam Ward, to me, it feels like he's on schedule. I don't know that he's necessarily way far ahead of where I thought he would be. He's certainly not way far behind where I thought he would be. He's about on schedule of what I thought heading into all this.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, it's like, look, I mean, like Lance on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHigh.com, says, 5 series in the preseason, got Cam ready. Well, I mean, you could have played him more, but honestly, Lance, you could have played him the entire preseason. And the first quarter of a game of real NFL football is still totally is going to tell us so much more and going to test him so much more. It's just, you can't. I mean, this is as close as you can get because they at least can get tackled. And you're playing with some of the guys you're going to play with. You're playing against some of the guys that you would see if you played that team. Although I feel like there weren't many starters on the defensive, when they were the teams they were playing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this is now when we find out, I mean, and I would say based with the limitations of everything that's come to here. Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's on schedule. Everything seems to be. I mean, I miss a lot of stuff. I miss the Jeff Simmons pushing him in the back thing, and they're like best friends, but they got into it. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys talked through on that and everything, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I actually think from the Cam perspective, I just really like that. I like how he mixes it up.
Yeah.
And
I would probably advise him not get in the face of defensive tackles when the regular season begins. But other than that, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. But then again, you can draw a little 15-yarder.
That's true.
That's true. You can give yourself up for a little shove in the back, get 15 out of that.
I thoroughly enjoyed the, hey, Cam, what'd you learn about that incident? I learned that Jeffrey Simmons is really strong. That's what I learned.
But, so people, people had their takes on Simmons. I know. And the bottom line is, again, he's a hothead. We've already known this. But with Cam on that thing, I like the way he approaches things. And I do think that you have to be good. So you don't want to make any declarations. But if he's going to play well this year and progress and, have a solid rookie season, I do think he's a leader for sure.
There is something from Blake Bedingfield at paulkuharski.com who did kind of a rundown of all this after the last preseason game. And, he broke it up into different sections, things that he feels good about, things that he doesn't feel good about. And one of the things that he said he doesn't feel good about with Ward right now is that, quote, he continues to be inaccurate on short passes and screens at the line of scrimmage or in the flats, usually turning the receiver and slowing down the route. The quick hitters must be accurate to give the receiver the ability to run after the catch. He's also talked, throughout the preseason about basically the inconsistency play to play from Ward on the footwork. And I feel like that part of it is going to be
that's obvious.
Probably a huge work in progress throughout the year.
Yeah. That and I just once you get into the real stuff, that right, like you just can't mess around too much with that. And I think that's a really good point by Blake. That terrible day that Cam had in practice a few weeks ago, that's one of the things about that day is like there were like probably 3 or 4 of those where it's just like it's 5 yards, but he was off the mark. It's almost like those are little things that you maybe don't think about as much. It's almost like a pitcher who doesn't hold runners on or something. I don't know. Maybe it's not a perfect analogy, but it's like these are things you don't think about because they're just obvious. Of course, you're gonna do that well. Well, not everybody does. So, yeah, those little things, the short stuff, the accuracy consistently. Those are all fair questions.
Well, and then again, one thing we didn't see a ton of in the preseason that we're going to see more of now that the regular season begins and you've got real football. His ability to extend plays and escape, right? Like how does that factor into the Titans offense? Like, again, I don't know that I would call him a huge running threat out there, but the ability to get outside of the pocket, keep the play alive. Bedingfield has talked about he's pretty good throwing the ball on the run. So, like, his ability to do that on a consistent basis, what is that going to look like now that people are bringing him down? He's playing more than 2 series in a game, and you're going to see that more often.
Yeah, now that it's real, I think you will, and you want to see extending plays, getting rid of the ball, not taking sacks. I'm thinking back to this weekend with Shedeur Sanders and one of the sacks he took, which you saw sometimes at Colorado, which plays into that too many negative plays things with Sean Payton. Like sometimes you just have to.
He lose like 23 yards or something.
Oh yeah, he kept running. It's like you just throw it out of bounds.
Yeah, man.
Now, Cam Ward did some stuff like that sometimes in college, but I feel like that's one area where I think he's definitely better than like Shedeur Sanders is he doesn't get sacked in those situations nearly as much. So I do think that'll be something we'll see a lot right away.
So how ready do you think Cam Ward is for week 1? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Tune in for the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix race on 102.5 The Game this Sunday. Coverage beginning at 1 o'clock and is brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, taking your thoughts on Cam Ward at 615-737-1025. How ready do you think Cam Ward is for week 1 against Denver? Justin on the text line says, I think Cam's a gamer. He'll always be ready for games. I also think I'm a delusional Titans fan who's high on hope. I think the kid will look as good as Callahan's prep does. It's on Callahan to make sure he's schemed up well and let Cam Ward take care of the rest. Logan says, I think Cam's as ready as he can be, but the real question here is, are us fans ready? I'm gearing up for a long season. We will have our Titans rundown of the schedule and predictions sometime next week, probably.
Yes.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, long season. I mean, if you're a Titans fan who obviously you'd rather see more winning, losing, you just went through 3-14. But the long season, does this season feel like it's going to be as long as last season was, where you realize that the quarterback that you had all these high hopes for exactly 1 year ago is not the guy, and you win 3 games? I mean, again, it could go really poorly with Cam Ward, and then it's long. Then it's a slog. But I feel like you got to, even if you win, you double your wins. That's only 6. But if you get something like that and you have Cam every week to watch and you have something encouraging there, it might not be all that bad, right?
It'd be hard to be as long as it was last year.
Yeah.
It was rough last year. So, look, I'm not going to discount it as a possibility. It could be that way. But it'd be pretty difficult to replicate last year.
Drew says, I don't even know. We're bringing up Steve McNair. Says, call me crazy. I don't remember McNair having fancy footwork. He just made plays and became who he was over time. I feel Cam will be the same. I don't know about the fancy footwork. I mean, McNair was a much more lethal runner than Cam Ward is. McNair could take it 50, but again, the Cam Ward, the Kyler Murray comparison that a lot of people made fun of, there is something to that in terms of extending plays. So, like you said,
video games.
Are we gonna? Well, and I don't know. He has the pregame movie. That's his thing. Is a pregame movie.
Pregame movie.
Yeah, pregame movie. I'm not sure how good he is.
I mean, he was on a video game stream when he called Traylon Burks the top 5 wide receiver in the league.
That is right. That is true.
Maybe the similarities are more striking than we realize.
And I think he's definitely better suited to be a quarterback than a GM at this point. So you can say that for him.
That is true. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
Yeah, how you doing, Robby? Well, what's up, Joe?
What's up, Mark?
How you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling all right, man. Feeling all right. We're pushing forward.
I didn't know, Joe, if I needed to get some boiling hot chitlin juice and send it over to you, man, to help you out and stuff,
I
man.
think you do.
Yeah,
I may have to try that.
Would work for you, Joe. Yeah, it may erase whatever you're going through, Joe. But like I always tell you, man, stay near a facility once you drink it now, because it's gonna be brutal on you. But hey, y'all were talking about McNair, Cam Ward. McNair was a better runner. I think Cam was a little better passer right now than was. Even though McNair was an air raid, came out of an air raid offense at Alcorn State. But I'm not going to really compare Cam right now to McNair in a lot of ways, because that wouldn't be fair to McNair. He's got a long way to go, a lot to prove. But, he's faced, like Robby said earlier, Vance Joseph's going to throw everything he can at it. And I'm sure Patrick Surtain will be on Ridley all day, the reigning defensive player of the year, Nick Benito and all those guys, Barron. And Denver's got a great team, Joe. I'm picking them to come out of the West this year. They got a great secondary. I think they have the best defense in the NFL right now. John Payton is building a squad there in Denver. But I wanted to say something before I go, Robby and Joe. I know y'all is early on making Super Bowl predictions, and I may be too early by saying this, but I'm going to go with a prediction right now. You call me crazy for saying it. I'm going with Tampa Bay and Buffalo in next year's Super Bowl.
Okay.
Joe. Robby.
Bills
That's my
Bucks.
prediction this year.
That's
I like
only
it.
that's only half crazy.
Yeah, I like it.
Bucks, Bills, and I'm sure people are gonna question that. Number one caller, Mark from Nashville, but hey, go ahead and question it. That's who I'm going with. But
There
hey,
we
y'all
go.
have a good day and stuff. Hey, Joe, glad you're feeling better, man. See y'all later, Rob.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mark.
buddy.
Appreciate it. Bucks, Bills.
All right, see you, man.
All right. Bucks. Bucks aren't going to be bad.
No,
And the NFC is,
it's wide open, but it's open.
It's open. It's
Yeah.
openish.
Yeah.
So okay,
We'll see what happens.
Bills. It would be about time for the Bills or the Ravens. One of those two, for crying out loud, to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Got one texter, Cam, on the text line says, "Can we call out all the Titans fans that complained about Van Jefferson dropping the pass in week 2 of the preseason when he literally broke ankles on Friday for a touchdown?" A little bit of Van Jefferson defense here on the text line.
I wouldn't get too excited about either one of them. He's going to be on the team, but yeah, he looked fast.
He did. It was a good play by Van Jefferson.
I don't remember him making too many plays like that in actual NFL games.
Well, it helps when the defender just totally falls down. It's good stuff.
But he took it to the house. So good for him.
I mean, look, Van Jefferson last year had 24 catches for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it would be great at some point, and preferably early in the season, that like Io Manor stepped in and was kind of that third guy.
I agree. I think Io Manor, I think that would be a great development for the Titans. Van Jefferson there are limitations there. I mean, as we know, because he's actually been in this league, you'd love to see your 4th round rookie ascend quickly, because I think he's good enough to do it too.
One texter says the one aspect of Cam's game that stands out above the others is his comfort in navigating the pocket. Team hasn't had a quarterback that calm within the pocket in a long time. Levis would fold like fresh laundry every time he faced a small amount of pressure. The short passing issue is a bit concerning, but the Titans have been terrible at running screens in general. Regardless, hopefully the continued footwork practice will help make those passes more accurate. I mean, I will say to that point, it does feel like Cam Ward is pretty comfortable in the pocket with things collapsing around him, which I do think is a good trait to have, particularly as a rookie.
Totally agree. That's a great analysis. And again, there were times at Miami last year when I'm like, he's just standing there. It's like
he's not even moving.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I guess it can be a detriment. But no, for the most part, I agree with that. I also feel like there are times where he's comfortable in the pocket, he's standing in, and yet he still like throws it back foot a little bit where he doesn't need to, or he could have stepped into it a little better. This is me nitpicking as a non-quarterback coach, but it just seems that way. Like, again, just sometimes relying on the arm, which is, he's got an arm, he can whip it. I do feel like sometimes the footwork that's probably going to be a work in progress all year.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Brian Callahan providing some updates over the weekend on injured Titans and what their status could look like for week 1. We'll discuss that coming up next. Plus, it is time for the first giveaway of the week in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. We will do that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. Corey Curtis from News 2 will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans roster cutdown day and looking ahead to week 1. And this team's readiness for week 1 with Corey Curtis a little bit later coming up at 8 o'clock. We will have our first fantasy football giveaway coming up here in just a few minutes for this week. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Brian Callahan providing an update over the weekend on Calvin Ridley, Tavondre Sweat, and J.C. Latham, who have all missed varying lengths of time. And this is what Brian Callahan had to say on the injury front from those guys over the weekend.
What's the latest with Calvin, JC, and Tavondre, and how do you handle guys like that heading into the season?
Yeah, this part of this training camp's not over, but for the most part, we're trying to start to get guys back now. You know, I thought we had a hard camp. I thought it was physical. It's time to start bringing some legs back and getting guys fresh and ready to roll. So we'll manage that stuff. As far as those guys go, it's getting them back into it and making sure we're ready to roll. I think all those guys are tracking for week 1 without a ton of concern at the moment. But we'll see how the practice week goes. But it's time to get those guys back and get moving and get ready to go play football for real. So feel good about where they're all at, but we got to manage that and make sure we're doing the right things by them so they're back and ready to roll for week 1.
So Callahan says those guys are tracking for week 1 without a ton of concern at the moment. So it sounds like all 3 of those guys should be good to go. I'm not really all that worried about Ridley and Latham. Like, it doesn't sound like it's anything overly serious with those guys. And we know it's not anything serious with Sweat from the standpoint of it's a tonsillectomy that he's coming back from. However, we talked about with Sweat last week, Joe, he's missed a lot of time in camp. And I think there has been this natural assumption that from year 1 to year 2, you're going to see Tavondre Sweat improve a lot, and that combination with him and Simmons is going to be really good up the middle, and maybe it will. I hope it will. But I don't love how much camp that he missed. And as Kuharski said last week, like particularly with young players, when you miss that much camp, it almost always is a problem in some way or some form. And you're talking about a guy that has, talked about losing weight and trying to get in the best possible shape. And now you're not having gone through training camp basically for the most part, and you're beginning week 1 in the altitude in Denver. So I'm interested to see how quickly into the season Sweat in particular is able to catch this moving train and get to whatever level it is that he needs to get to this year, if he can do it, and what that looks like.
Yeah, he's a huge question. No doubt. And it's not like he looked like dramatically different or anything. Like Latham looks dramatically different from last year, right? He's gotten in tremendous shape. I don't know if Tavondre Sweat may just be a guy, like he just may not, like you may not be able to really tell. He's never going to tell you what he's weighing, all that stuff. But it's not like there was this huge transformation or anything like that. I think he's got a chance to be a really good player. But I also wonder, does he just need to get to a different level of conditioning? And when you miss all this camp, what's going on there? Are you putting weight on? I don't know. Tonsillectomy, I guess.
Yeah.
I eat less, I guess, right? But he's a big question. And this also brings up the TD's projection of the 4 guys on the D line. It's like I kind of feel like they might just need more depth than that, and especially early. Like you said, you got the altitude game coming right out here. I still think Simmons and Sweat could be as problematic for opponents as any aspect of this team, but I don't know that for sure from him. I think Simmons is going to be good this year. I think he's primed to have a good year. If Sweat takes a step, it could be really good, but at this point, it is a little bit concerning that he's missed so much time.
Well, and remember, they also talked earlier in the offseason about Sweat and his next step is the pass rush and getting after the quarterback, right? Like he did not impact the quarterback very much last year. Now, with the position that he plays and with his physical profile, like I don't know that I ever need T'Vondre Sweat to walk away with 7 sacks in the season. But like it would be, especially with where I think this team is at edge rusher right now, it would be a very welcome development if he was putting more pressure on the quarterback on a consistent basis this year, certainly compared to last year. So is he going to be able to do that? Like, is that something that's noticeably different with him throughout the first 6-7 weeks of the year? Or are we getting halfway through the season again and you're looking around and it's like, well, T'Vondre Sweat's really not impacted the quarterback all that much. Again, it's not the most important thing from his role and his position, but they need all the help they could get getting after the quarterback with how this defense is currently constructed.
Yeah, if you're consistently moving the quarterback off his spot, that definitely matters. You still need to, make some tackles behind the line of scrimmage and kill drives. I mean, if you had like 12 sacks between Simmons and Sweat, to me, that would be, and I would expect that to break down something like 8-4 Simmons.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that number sounds good. But again, if it's 7 between them, but they're consistently, which is possible, but they're consistently disrupting and causing problems and in giving the edge rushers, single assignments all constantly because people have to deal with them. Okay, well then, and then you get sacks from like Arden Key and Oladejo and whoever, then okay, then that works too. Consistently moving the pocket, that's what you got to see. Someone's got to make tackles.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Someone tackling the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage would be good.
That would be nice. It would be nice to see that. So that is, obviously when you're running down the list of things that we're keeping an eye on with the Titans to begin the season, a lot of it's going to be on the offensive side of the ball with the quarterback. We're going to be watching edge rusher. I got a feeling pretty closely throughout the year. L'Jarius Sneed, like how much is he playing in week 1? I mean, there's a lot of things we're looking for the Titans. Not too far down the list is going to be like Sweat. Like how much are you able to play week 1? How much of an impact is he making? What's that combination of he and Simmons looking like? Because I still think if you're looking at the defensive side of the ball, they need those two together to be the strength of the defense. I don't know that they're necessarily equipped to have any other part of the defense be the strength of the defense. So it's got to be those two. Like they've got to have a monster year for the Titans.
Yeah. And if Sweat is ready, again, there's got to be some acclimating, and I'm sure they're going to be looking to rotate him out more in that first game, especially.
Yeah,
and be a little bit of a ramp up. But if he does bring that, and then you have Sneed out there, and Simmons is what he looks like he's going to be, you actually have some answers, and you have that pot's like bubbling over, man. It's some stuff that kind of working out, maybe a little bit.
Might be cooking at that point. We'll see.
So
it is time for our first giveaway of the week for the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League. We're going to have one spot to give away from now until Thursday, and then on Friday we will give away 2 spots. So we have 6 open spots in the league. Joe, Ian, and myself have 3. Brennan Rexrode is 4. Kyle, our winner last year, is 5.
Let's go, Kyle.
And Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com is a part of the league again this year, making his return to the league after a decent performance from him a year ago. So we have 6 spots taken.
Decent performance, huh?
He's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, he's fine. Him and Joe both pretty good.
Thanks.
Well, they both like to talk like they're good.
I know.
So.
I don't say. I'm trying to get out of the Titans league. You won't let me out.
See how that goes. Yeah. We have 6 spots available. We have traditionally given the spots away via trivia question. We will do that throughout the week. We will revisit that. But we are going to give them away through all sorts of different contests this week. And the first one, frankly, is just how good are you? How quickly can you get this phone call in here to caller number 5 on the phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We are having our fantasy draft next Wednesday. So you are not required to be there in person for it. It would be nice though if you were there in person for it. So hopefully, if you're trying to be a part of this league, try to have next Wednesday night open for the fantasy draft Here, 615-737-1025, caller number 5 will win the first spot of the week in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League.
So we have a variety of ways to get in. I think one day I am hoping to put together the Revenge of the Nerds tricycle race where you have to have a beer every lap and then see how many laps you can do. That's what I'm hoping to do for Thursday or Friday, but we'll see if
we have a lot of different ways
set up the course
this week. So I figured rather than just trivia questions every day, let's spice it up a little bit this year.
I like it.
Diversify a little bit this year.
That's good. Real quick, Viking Matt says, can we let Cam play some real games before we measure how good he is? So we can't talk about Cam Ward, according to Viking Matt.
Yeah, I mean,
let's wait till like year 4, and then we will not discuss his name at all. He who shall not be named, and then we'll finally say, hey, guess who's been quarterback in the Titans the last 4 years? Let's talk about him.
Voldemort out there at quarterback for the Titans. Let's see whether or not he makes it to the second contract, and then we can talk about it.
Viking Matt is a what are you doing? He's certainly not a Cam do.
That's right. Gonna hear a lot of that this year. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. The SEC has moved to a 9-game conference schedule starting next year. Rexrode, at different points on this program, has been screaming about that for years. So they've done it. We'll get his thoughts on that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 7:45. Corey Curtis from News 2 at 8 o'clock. A lot of people calling in trying to get into the Fantasy Football League. we got more spots throughout the week. We're giving away in different ways. So you'll have your opportunity throughout this week. You'll get 5 more spots.
Yep, Mr. G just missed here, but you keep trying.
Yep.
We'll have different ways.
Congratulations to Justin Johnson, who is the winner of our first spot.
There you go.
In the Robby
Alliteration.
Rexrode Fantasy Football League.
We welcome alliteration.
Justin, welcome to the league, and we are looking forward to filling up the rest of the spots this week. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Joe, the SEC has moved to a 9-game conference schedule beginning in 2026. There will be, as we discussed on Friday, 3 permanent opponents in the rotation, and then the other 6 will be alternating on a yearly basis. We don't know exactly what those opponents are going to look like yet. My guess is, for the Tennessee perspective, at least 2 of them are going to be Vanderbilt and Alabama. We'll see what the other ones look like at that point. There are some different thoughts on what that could look like. I don't know that I've seen one that doesn't have Vanderbilt and Alabama in it for Tennessee. I've not seen all of them, though, so we'll see what that looks like. Vanderbilt, going to be interesting. You've got, I think, Tennessee for sure as a part of your permanent opponents, and then we'll see kind of what those other 2 look like in the rotation there. But, Joe, just your thoughts of the SEC adopting the 9-game schedule, the policy that goes with it of you better schedule at least one out-of-conference Power 4 game involved with it as well, and how this impacts college football, how this could impact the college football playoff and expansion, and where this goes from here.
Yeah, well, the Big Ten can shut the hell up now. I mean, they've got nothing. I mean, and like I think about, as much as we love Kurt Cignetti last year and that story, that the ridiculous stuff he said at Big Ten Media Day. Well, we're just doing the SEC model. Well, guess what, Kurt? You are scheduling freaking like Northwest, Central, South Tech State 3 times, and then playing your Big Ten schedule. And now the SEC, you got nothing else. You got nothing else to stand on. So I think it's fine. It's long time coming. It's great to see. And yeah, look, this is what it has to be. It has to be the committee. It has to be, they have this new record strength metric. Fine. I think that's fine. Make it clear that has to be, you have to be rewarded if you actually do schedule another good game on top of your conference schedule. And the ACC still has to figure this out too. They have, with odd number of teams, it's very hard to do that. But you need to play 10. You need to play 10 power teams out of your 12. And that's what everybody needs to be doing. And the Big Ten, they're not all doing that. And so now I would hope that their stupid playoff system would be dead. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard Tony Petitti say, "Hey guys, we're good. Thanks. Sounds good. We'll give that up."
Oh,
he's coming out with a 28.
30. Yeah.
Just
keep going.
And again, the 28, the whole idea is like the conference championship weekend is toast now, right? Okay. So okay, fine. But he's still coming out with, and 7 for the Big Ten and 7 for the SEC. What? No. So every time we talk about anything, I start winding my way toward being mad at the Big Ten. But good for the SEC. I have seen, I'm with you, like our guy Seth Emerson had, I'm trying to find his thing, but he had Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Alabama, obviously, but then like Kentucky instead of Florida. Like for me, I think it's got to be Florida. I think, that hasn't been as strong, obviously, in recent years. Both of them have had ups and downs. But I just feel like going back to the 90s, that is a real rivalry that should be preserved. I don't know. Maybe you're a Tennessee fan. You tell me. I just think that I understand that the Kentucky, Tennessee goes way back, the beer barrel stuff. But I just feel like Florida's the way to go.
Well, that's the one I want to see. For Tennessee's 3, I want it to be Alabama, Florida, and Vanderbilt.
I think it's like so clear cut with them.
But the problem is, what about Florida? Like, so Florida, we know Florida and Georgia is going to be one. Like, yes. Florida and Georgia will be one.
Right.
So what are the other 2? Like, Florida's crossover when their divisions were a thing was LSU.
LSU, Florida is.
So what's that going to look like? LSU, they, you can make an argument that they want Alabama. Like who? So what are Alabama's going to be? Like, is Alabama going to end up stuck with Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU? Like somebody like the balance part of this is going to be really interesting to see what that looks like. So I would love for from Tennessee's perspective for it to be Florida, Alabama, and Vanderbilt. I think 2 of them are a lock in Alabama and Vanderbilt. I'm not convinced that Florida will be a lock.
Yeah. Again, so Seth has it. Georgia, again, Florida, Georgia, we know that for sure. Auburn and South Carolina for Florida.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, like, for example, Alabama fans, and this is actually why Saban at first was calling for 9, and then he's like, oh, never mind. I don't want 9 because they're 3. Of course it's Auburn. Of course I think it's Tennessee. And then LSU is also another one where you're like, man, it's got to be that, right? But if that's your 3 over a stretch of time, that's tough compared to somebody who gets, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt and Missouri.
Do you guys think it's fair to have the 3 rivalry games required for every team? Do you think that's a fair, equitable way to make the schedule?
I think it's the way. Certainly, with some of them, it's just going to be like, and here's your 3rd team, or even some of them, it's like, here's your 2nd, 3rd team. But I think then you can
like,
make.
Are we stretching for 3? Does it need to be 3?
Well, the reason that you do 3 is so that then the rest of the schedule makes sense every year. You have these 3, and then now you're rotating the other 6 games. You know what I mean?
Sure,
if you do 2 here, 1 here, it gets a little bit wonky. I mean, look,
but to Ian's point, like, we know, like, for Vanderbilt specifically, we know Tennessee is going to be one. Like, Vanderbilt and Tennessee is going to be one of those games. What are the other 2 for Vanderbilt? Like, who are the other 2 that, like, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, do you have like a really strong opinion of, oh, it needs to be Ole Miss, like, or whatever? Like, who are the next 2 for Vanderbilt?
Yeah, and that I don't think that there's any. And maybe I'm wrong. Vanderbilt fans want to weigh in on that. Again, Seth has Ole Miss and Missouri as their other 2.
Yeah,
I guess I could look at it like a Missouri, Kentucky, the SEC East, lower half of the SEC East.
But then, like you said, Joe, you get people complaining about how their 3 are always Alabama, Georgia, and whoever versus, oh, you get to play Kentucky, Vandy, and
like,
Missouri.
Somebody in this is going to get screwed. Like,
Sure.
there's no doubt. Like, somebody, you're going to look at it and it's going to be like, wow, we get to play Alabama, Georgia, and whoever else. And meanwhile, South Carolina is over here playing Missouri, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then it also gets into, well, we have seen Missouri win the SEC. You know, we have seen, we're seeing Vanderbilt now, right? Most teams would be like, yes, we'll take Vanderbilt. And I think I feel like that's good balance for Tennessee. If it's like Alabama, Florida, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fair, right? One traditionally lesser program, but then you also will have teams that cycle up and down. I mean, Texas, like, to me, it's obvious, right? It's going to be Oklahoma. It's going to be Texas A&M. It's going to be Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense, and it's balanced, and that's why I like 3. They're an example of a team where I think 3 is good. I think Tennessee, I think those should be the 3.
I mean, Auburn's the one I look at that has a chance to really get screwed here.
Oh,
because it's Alabama for sure. Auburn,
Georgia,
Georgia
right?
is the oldest rivalry in the South.
Auburn, Georgia has to be
like, it's got to be in there, right?
Yeah.
So Auburn's like
1-2 right there.
Good. Alabama and Georgia every year, and then whoever the 3rd one ends up being.
Yeah, because Seth gave them Florida as their 3rd, and they're a team where it's like, can you throw a little Mississippi State their way?
Yeah.
I mean, Mississippi States are obviously Ole Miss, got your Egg Bowl, and then Kentucky and South Carolina. I feel like maybe a Mississippi State, I mean, Ole Miss, Kentucky, South Carolina. I mean, if you're them, you're like, we'll make bowl games more over 10 years or 20 years than we would have otherwise. But I think you need to stick them with somebody good. Like, go ahead and give Florida, Mississippi. Yeah, some of these are just going to be like to try to create balance.
Yeah. No, I'm really interested to see the scheduling part of it and the way it plays out there. And then now that they've moved to 9 games, they've got the Power 4 requirement there too. How much is strength of schedule going to be weighed? Because, we talked about that at the end of last year with the college football playoff when you had, Alabama and everybody yelling about strength of schedule and Nick Saban yelling about strength of schedule and all those things. Indiana got in, which is very controversial. So, like, I think you can also go too far the other way on the strength of schedule stuff. Like, if you're 8-4, but your strength of schedule is really good and this other team's 11-1, are you going to put the 8-4 team in? Like, I'm really interested to see what that looks like when decision making comes down.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see an 8-4 over an 11-1, but I do think a 9-3 over an 11-1 is possible. And I think in some instances it's warranted. Again, last year, Alabama is fine, and they play like crap and looked awful and lost to Oklahoma. And it's like, well, you shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have been. But yeah, it's a good question. Look, it's still going to be human. It's going to be subjectivity. It's going to be humans making decisions. And I still prefer that to, again, this idea that Petiti has that the standings should make the standings in a league that's so big that one schedule is a million miles from another schedule.
It's unbalanced. Yeah.
I mean, Cameron's saying playing 9 Big Ten games is not comparable to playing 9 SEC games. Well, I think you're right, Cameron, in terms of your general average of the SEC is better. However, I can show you a Big Ten schedule that is absolutely tougher than an SEC schedule if you want to let me go ahead and put them together. And the SEC schedule gets Mississippi State and Kentucky and whatever, and the Big Ten schedule gets Oregon and Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan. I mean, that's possible too. That's the problem here. These leagues are too big.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll continue the college football discussion. We did have some games this past weekend. We'll get Joe's thoughts on that, plus our first look at Vanderbilt and Tennessee and their season opening games coming up next weekend. All that ahead, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in just a few minutes at 7:45. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. We will get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. Joe, we had week 0 in college football this past weekend. Did get a top 25 matchup to begin week 0, which is not always the case. Iowa State gets the 24-21 win in Ireland against Kansas State. And I know it was in Ireland because it was raining. And apparently in Dublin, it rains over 150 days per year. And I was like, yep, that about checks out. That adds up.
Feels like we were watching the Open.
Well, no, yeah, it did feel like that. And also the broadcast, I think, said they were in Ireland approximately once every play. I was like, hey, guys, after about the second quarter, I was like, guys, we understand that the game is in Ireland. We don't have to talk about it every play. I get it. The game is in Ireland. Let's stop playing games in Ireland. As a college football fan, we don't need to see any games in Ireland. That's just me.
Second
and
to nine.
I don't want to single out Ireland either. I don't need to see any games anywhere not in the continental United States for college football. I'll be honest with you.
Top of the first down to you.
Yeah, really good stuff. There's nothing people
like
of Ireland want to see more than Iowa State and Kansas State out there.
I like the Ireland games. What's wrong? I like that. You don't like it?
No,
think it's kind
I
of
don't.
cool.
I don't. The NFL doesn't need to play in Brazil. We can go down this. We can go down this road. I know why they're doing it, and it's not going to stop.
Yeah,
but I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I kind of like the Ireland thing. I mean, at least this year we didn't have to hear like McAfee talk about the 19 Guinnesses he drank the night before.
True.
You know, we just had a nice little studio show and kind of leave it at that. I don't know. I mean, but the rain factor, that is one of those things. But then again, he just brought up the Open. Why? Let's not play golf then. Let's not play golf over there. You know.
Well, combine the weather with the first
Golf
game.
was invented.
That's true.
First game of the season, no preseason action, plus the weather. It was just a combination for some sloppy stuff to start.
It was pretty rough.
It was a fun game.
It was. It ended up being good. The first couple of the quarters, I was like, oh boy.
Right. It's just gonna be a fumble fest, and then it kind of cleared up a little bit. Sucks that Dylan Edwards got hurt and made a terrible decision to try to field that punt because that guy is one of the most electric players in college football. That might have made the difference in the game. But I like Iowa State, man. Rocco Becht, Matt Campbell, one of those guys. Everybody speculated he's going to take this job or that job, the Texas job, and that's a solid football team. A nice Farmageddon in Ireland, which they changed to Farm-O-Geddon.
Yeah, thank God.
Get it?
Yes. Dan Mullen gets a win in his return to coaching at UNLV. So congratulations to Dan Mullen for their victory against Idaho State.
Yep, Dan Mullen. That was dicey. That was dicey for sure. Western Kentucky with the big win. I watched all of Hawaii Stanford, and I thoroughly enjoyed that game. I just love that little stadium. Pretty cool story with. First of all, I'm not going to try to butcher the kid's name, who's their quarterback, but I thought that he had a season-ending knee injury. It looked so bad. It ended up being a foot, and he's gutting it out, playing and still making plays. Timmy Chang's got himself a QB there that, like, Hawaii, I think, is going to be a program to watch with him as coach and with him as quarterback. Another, the Hawaii's been pretty good about churning out the quarterbacks here. But I'm actually getting this from a Wetzel tweet because it is such a cool story. Kansei Matsuzawa is from Tokyo. At age 20, he's a waiter at Morton Steakhouse. So he's in the U.S. He went to an NFL game. Then he just went and started watching YouTube videos to teach himself how to kick.
Yeah.
Hocking College, Hocking, Nelsonville, Ohio. He went there to kick, spoke no English, had so little money he gave himself haircuts. Again, I'm reading Wetzel's tweet. And then he just boots the game winner to beat.
Pretty cool.
Pretty freaking awesome.
That's college football, man.
It is.
Good stuff.
Like college football, the heart of college football is still alive.
It is. It is. And by the way, an amendment, I did say the continental United States is where football should be played. You can include Alaska and Hawaii. They can also play college football.
Okay. That's nice of
Cole
you.
pointed out, like, what's wrong with Hawaii? They can't play football down there? They can.
And if Caleb points out, then you have the Avery Johnson's dad and brother.
Great day for Avery Johnson.
Absolute scrap in the streets of Dublin.
I was going to say, I like that Avery Johnson. Good name. Reminds me of the throwback basketball player.
The basketball.
And then when amazing lettuce.
Oh,
I mean, just amazing hair.
Oh,
Pretty
absolutely.
solid
Well,
player.
And then his dad and brother
And then
just
they got
have-
into it.
Just
going
throwing
at it.
hands
In a
out
puddle.
there in the streets of
in the
Ireland.
middle of the rain puddle.
It's
Yeah.
tough.
Was
I mean,
it
I
the kid who had the dad pinned down?
I think so.
It's so unfair.
It's tough,
Both
man.
of my sons could beat the crap out of me right now. Very
But I was
depressing.
watching that closely because, as you'll remember, Joe, when Nico Yamaliava bolted Tennessee, it was like, all right, what quarterback is Tennessee going to go find? And a lot of Tennessee fans are like, Avery Johnson, go get him. Let's go get him. And that did not happen. I believe Avery Johnson got a raise out of it too. So good for him.
Yeah, Avery Johnson,
Luke Altmaier.
Luke Altmaier from
Yep.
Illinois. These are the obvious possibilities. So, but the Johnsons have put out a statement apologizing. I feel bad for Avery. The guy lost a
Tough
heartbreaker
day
of
for
a
him.
game.
Yeah.
Then it's like you have this just endless flight back to Kansas, and then it's like, oh, by the way, the internet's talking about your dad and brother beating the crap out of each
Your
other
family
outside a bar in
is
Dublin.
fighting in the street. So
Jeez.
there you go, Avery. Have a good time out there.
Tough scene. A good question by someone, but Cameron, what is up with? We have rain at plenty of games here in America,
Yes.
and the paint doesn't just
don't
immediately
understand
wash
it.
away.
I don't understand it. The Packers and the Eagles opened up the season last year for the NFL on that Friday night game, which first off, don't like that, but Friday night game in Brazil, and the field was just an absolute atrocity out there. It's just terrible. I mean, you had lines that were not straight on the side. You had the field was all, just kind of chopped up. Jordan Love ended up like basically tearing his groin off at the end of it. Like, it was awful. And I was like, stop playing these international games if you guys can't get the field to work down there.
I mean, that should be priority one, right? It's like,
Well, they have
okay,
their fields are made for
Soccer.
soccer stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
So maybe there's a difference there.
But if you're going to bring
cleats?
your sport, yeah, and they
And
talked about that, like maybe they need to do longer cleats. But if you're going to bring your sport to that country, and again, it does bring in like Iowa State and Kansas State, they travel to this thing, right?
Put it in a
The
place where
stadiums-
you can accommodate it.
Yeah, I mean, you got the playing surface. That should be pretty obvious, right? Like, get it exactly right, and
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
I mean,
Didn't
that's
FIFA
part of
make it like a stipulation that had to be all grass
Yeah.
fields?
Yeah.
For the Olympics or the World Cup.
for the World Cup? Yes.
So, they're not a fan of the rubber coconut pellet dirt stuff or whatever we
They're
got
not.
over there around
No.
here.
They're
No.
not. But congratulations to Iowa State. I think they are now, they don't play another ranked team again until like mid-November. So we could see Iowa State going a bit of a run here.
But remember, rankings are often
Yes.
wrong, and so someone they play who, like again last year, everybody looked at Indiana on their schedule like, oh well, there's a sure win for us.
Tennessee, a 13.5-point favorite against Syracuse coming up this weekend. We will get deeper into this game as the week goes on. Vanderbilt opening up their season as well. I think the last time I saw the Vanderbilt line, they were like a 39.5-point favorite. I will double check to see where that's at
My goodness.
at the moment. But both Vanderbilt and Tennessee opening up their season this weekend. Joey Aguilar named the starting quarterback for Tennessee. So the Joey Aguilar era will begin on Saturday against Syracuse, and very interested to see how he plays. By the way, I was wrong. Vanderbilt, a 36.5-point favorite against Charleston Southern. So there you go.
Was that all?
Yeah, just
Okay.
36.5.
Okay, is that all, man? That sounds like a nice stat patter to start out for them. But look, Vanderbilt playing teams like this, of course they do every year. I'd like to know, like, I feel like typically Vanderbilt's like a 19-point favorite against a team like that, right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
I don't know.
know.
Look, I couldn't tell you the first thing about Charleston Southern. I have no idea. So
All I know is
They
that
could be really bad.
Charleston is awesome. I know
Yes.
that. So, but yeah, Tennessee, Syracuse is going to be really interesting. Yeah, like you said, we're going to get more into it. But Joey Aguilar, I'm wrong on my starting quarterback prediction, but they needed him to come in, take that job, and elevate what they could be at the position.
Yep.
So that's going to be a really interesting game. Like, Syracuse isn't bad, and I think Fran Brown's doing a good job there. They've got some talent, so I really don't know what to expect. But I think Tennessee's defense gives them a floor that should be pretty high this year.
Yeah.
And be able to, like, grind through a game like that, even if you got a long way to go on offense.
I mean, again, you got that at 11 o'clock Saturday, Texas, Ohio State at 11 o'clock Saturday. You got Alabama, Florida State at 2:30. You got Clemson, LSU Saturday night. It's a great weekend.
And you got
college football. Notre Dame, Miami,
is Sunday, right?
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic.
It's going to be an awesome weekend. Looking forward to it. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Corey Curtis from News 2 with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
No doubt about it.
I hate Nick Switcher with my heart.
I'm a great interviewer, as he said.
Play grab ass for 8 hours and then go home with nothing.
A mayo-flavored Gatorade.
You're trying to turn out propaganda. I want to see what's really happening. Top of the first down to you.
Yeah.
Give me the go. I want to go.
I don't know that I have especially pointy nipples.
It is that time of the week, the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. He was off last week. We missed his rants. He's back. Joe Rexrode. With that in the background, including a great part of the matchup there that Ian had with that leprechaun video. One of the first videos on YouTube I ever watched.
That's quick work.
It's great stuff. Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, a lot of people are asking about the gout, so I'll give you, start with a gout update. It's it's doing better. I'm fine. I think I have a foot thing, so that may be separate or whatever. But I did have another attack right that week, which was unbelievable. So I got a lot of stuff to work out, but I got to give a shout out to my guy Roger at the Bone and Joint in Nolensville. Now Roger is a friend of a friend. I've hung out with Roger socially, so it was a little weird when he came in with this humongous needle. He said, "Drop trowel. I'm going to stick this in your ass." But it had Toradol and steroids in it, and man, that sucker hurt. And then I got in the car and I was like, "Oh my God, my ass is burning." But let me tell you something. I woke up the next day.
It's already clipping it, and I could see it. This is awesome.
I woke up the next day and it was way better, man.
That's
good. It cleaned these acid crystals out of my foot like pretty freaking well. Not completely, but shout out to Roger. Really appreciate it. I mean, if not last week, I don't even know what it would have done. I was moving in 2 kids, one to a dorm, one to an apartment. I have a series of rants that I could spin off about my whole vacation last week. Okay. But I'll start with, so there's this place, do I name the business? Do I name this is one of those interesting things, Robbie, because it's like,
it's not here, is it?
It's not here, but this stuff is on the internet, right?
It is.
And I don't want trouble for my kid, and his buddies at their new apartment.
You do what you feel you need to do.
Well, there's this apartment complex in East Lansing, and it's quite a bit north of campus. It's a couple miles north of campus, okay? So you think about campus housing around these colleges, and some of these apartments right by campus. I'm going Michigan State's what I know, but I think there's some universal threads here. Just absolute bleep holes, right? I mean, I walked Brennan, I walked him to my old house off campus last week. Like, hey, check it out, man. And we walked right by it. And this freaking place, 325 Division, should have been condemned when I lived in it more than 30 years ago. And it's just the same exact house. And people are paying rent to live in this thing. It's just barely held together. And it's so there's 6 college kids living in this absolute trash heap, but the location's great. So this apartment complex where my oldest Jack is living, I remember when it came out, about 25 years ago, out of college, but it was oh, this is the super, it has a pool and it has a gym and it's really nice apartments. And it's so, if you're willing to live off a little bit, I mean, this is luxury living for a college kid, right? Okay. So that's what I have in my head.
Sure.
As we go into move, and they're furnished. These are furnished apartments. So that means that you get furniture, leather couches, you get a TV. They're wow, okay, that sounds great. So we take our first load over there the day that load of
moving equipment,
clothes,
supplies,
furniture. We got the truck loaded up, and we head over there, and I'm like, yeah, it looks a little tired around here a little bit. Yeah, it's 25, 25-ish years old, but okay, it looks a little tired. Walking in the place, man, boy, they beat this place up pretty good, huh? I mean, I don't even know if I've ever been there before. It's just you heard about how awesome it was. Go in the place. Yeah, there's a couch. Now, it only has 2 of 3 cushions, but there is a furnished couch there. TV? Nope. TV's not there. But you know what is there? A huge maggot infestation. Just a big old pile of maggots. Apparently someone, I don't know, left food in a cupboard or something. So this place is infested with maggots. It's dirty. It doesn't have the stuff. It's a complete disaster. And there are freaking maggots. And I guess, I won't bore you with the rest of the story. I mean, basically, everybody got the hell out of there. Jack's girlfriend's dad has an oxidizer, so he got the oxidizer going. Hopefully that killed maggots, but not people. I apparently, I don't know. Some Jack was is this dangerous? I don't know, but apparently the oxidizer got going. Finally, after standing in line for hours, which I stood in the line for just to, this is before we knew about the maggots, to complain about other stuff. Then we found the maggots later. They finally got someone out there, so I think everything's okay. But it's like, I mean, the conditions that these landlords and these people that college towns are providing for these kids. Look, it is what it is. People are going to pay the rent. They're going to show up. They need a place to live. They want to like get out of the dorms and all that stuff. My God, man, it is so bad. Like if anybody out there could tell me, like at UT or anywhere around here, Middle Tennessee, Vandy, whatever, like off-campus housing, are there nice places left? I would like to know, because I mean, at Michigan State, man, I can't find much.
I've been to some doozies in Knoxville for sure. I mean, Murfreesboro back in the day. Although when we were going to MTSU a couple weeks ago, I was driving around. I was like, man, there's some nice off-campus apartments and housing all the way around here right now that we're not there when I was there. A bunch of
they look nice.
They look nice.
Yeah,
real good stuff. I mean, the other part of that, like you say, 25 years ago with the apartment, it also highlights, I think, just how much damage college students can do over the course of a 25-year span.
Yeah, that's right. That's true, man. Like these places that you see that are brand new, that are nice. How much time do they have? What does 1 year? Does 1 year do? And I understand, what do college kids do? They're messy. I'm generalizing, but I mean, look, man, I look at the conditions I lived in happily for years, and it's like, how? My grandparents came and went to a football game with us, and my grandpa just came in, looked at the couch, and just went boom and hit it really hard, and dust filled the room for people had leave. I mean, it was like, this is if you walked on the carpeting with your socks, they would be tar black in 5 minutes, and we're like, oh yeah, this is great,
it's fine,
this is awesome. We're having a kegger Friday, so yeah, but. So yes, this is what college kids do. It is I mean, maybe 25 years later, I shouldn't be that surprised, but I was like,
maggots is a little much.
Maggots is a little much, and I apologize to the texter who says, "Well, so much for breakfast." I'm sorry.
So was a TV eventually provided? You tell me a TV is going to be in the apartment and the TV is not in the apartment? We're going to have a big problem.
I mean, I finally had to get out of there Saturday. Katie's still up there dealing with. I think they have that stuff. We're also trying to, get a car after crashing another car, because we've crashed 4 cars in the last year.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, but don't worry, I have other rants on my vacation that are possible. So
it's good.
Yep,
good vacation when you come back with just a laundry list of rants that you could come with.
Hey, I tell you what, though, I did buckle despite the gout, and I did have the olive burger at the Peanut Barrel, because I'm like, I don't care if I have to have a gout attack. I'm going to have this olive burger, and I was okay.
Well, now you've got a remedy. Just go up down there in Nolensville, get a shot right in the butt, and you'll be fine.
That's right. Roger, get that needle ready for me.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning, talking all things Titans. And to help us do that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I am so relieved this morning, as I was in fact worried that Joe had gotten doged, but glad to see that he escaped the clutches of Elon Musk and won't be buried in his tunnel under the city.
It's good. He's back. He's back in here.
You thought I was out, huh?
Well, it was either that or you got Ben Franklin, one or the other.
Yeah. A lot of gout. Ben Franklin had gout, as we discovered last week.
Yeah, no, that does
You're both ladies, men. You both play for the
France. That's right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
no.
Both
Sure.
brilliant. Yeah.
Geniuses.
Both like the olive burger.
Really important in the history of this country,
Really,
both of us.
A lot of similarities when you break it down.
Yeah.
It's really good
Makes
stuff.
sense.
Co-author of Poor Richard's Almanac.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Corey, the preseason, mercifully, has come and gone for the Tennessee Titans. Roster cut-down day coming up tomorrow, so we'll see what that looks like, and we'll get into that with you here in just a few minutes. But let's start on the Cam Ward front. What did you make of Ward's preseason? How ready do you think Cam Ward is for week 1 against Denver?
I mean, it's hard to say, right? I mean, we'll know when it gets here. It's going to be tougher, and everybody's got to do more. He's got to do more. I know, like, this preseason was about exposing him, to as much as possible. But he had 2 touchdown drives out of 7. They had a few 3 and outs, but again, I don't know how much of their play calling was designed to just give him looks and how much of it was to move the football, because I think this team's going to be pretty good at running. And when Cam was in there wasn't a whole lot of running. There was a lot of slinging the rock around. And I know Callie would like to ultimately do that, but, with this offensive line and with a rookie quarterback, I can't help but think they're going to run the football more than they showed in the preseason. But, I guess all you can really do is trust that his work has him as ready as he's going to be. But, I would think the first 6 weeks, there's going to be ups and downs, especially because he's going to see stuff he hasn't seen before. And he's going to have to make mistakes that he's going to learn from. We keep talking about his footwork and, the stuff that he's gotten away with. He's going to do some stuff that he's not going to be able to get away with anymore. And he's going to have to learn what that stuff is. So I guess, you take the good with the bad. He's going to have to make some plays and we'll see what they've got.
Yeah. And like you said, we're going to find out so much more in short order here. We were talking earlier, Corey. It's like the first quarter of the first game is going to give more information than the entire preseason gave us. But from what you've seen, what do you feel like you've learned, or what do you feel like if there's anything that maybe is different about him than maybe you expected?
This is just from camp, and it's something that I think just takes work. I don't think his accuracy was as good as I thought it was going to be. I thought he threw behind runners, receivers a little too much. So I think that part, can get better. But I think like the main, and this may not answer your question, but the main part you worry about is the moment too big for him? Is the game too big for him? Is the league too big for him? And I don't think any of it's too big for him. I mean, this is what he's built for. He's going to have to execute it. But this is. He puts in the work. He's got the mental fortitude to take on the magnitude of the position. He's got the want to be great and do all the things, that it takes to be great. Now he's got to show it on the field. And I guess just, you heard about who he was, seeing, the diligence of who he was, and I think that's going to wear on his teammates, but to really wear on his teammates, he's going to have to produce on the field. I always talk about like Kyle Vanden Bosch being a culture changer, for the Tennessee Titans. And there are several guys who've come in here and and they've been that kind of player. Well, they don't just come in and be that kind of player. They come in and they are the way they are, and then they get results. You don't get the culture change without the results. And so now he's got to bring the results to truly change things.
So, Corey, at inside linebacker, it's been an interesting battle between James Williams and Cedric Gray. I think they're both going to end up playing a lot, so we'll see how much starting actually matters. But what do you make of that position overall, the battle between those two, and your thoughts about that position alongside obviously Cody Barton heading into this year?
Well, look, I'm from Chicago, and I take my middle linebackers seriously. This team has not had a middle linebacker since they moved to Nashville ever make a Pro Bowl. Think about that.
Yeah.
Not one. And that's make the Pro Bowl. Vince Young made a Pro Bowl.
Right.
All right. They haven't had anybody make a Pro Bowl. Al Smith, Houston Oiler, was the last middle linebacker to make a Pro Bowl. I know that because Al Smith always makes sure to tell me. So I know that. But when I look at middle linebackers, I like guys who play downhill. And Cedric Gray plays downhill. He plays with violence. And, that comes with confidence and being comfortable. And I think you're seeing a lot more of that in him, allowing him to play more downhill and to play more comfortable. Having said that, he has also made some plays in pass defense. I don't expect his pass defense to be perfect, but I also don't expect him to necessarily be a 3-down linebacker. I think when Tevin Winston particularly gets healthy, I think he could be a guy who comes on the field a lot on 3rd down, and the Titans just go with one linebacker and kind of play him in a hybrid role. And maybe they do that with Quandre Diggs as well. Now, having said that, I think both guys are going to play, but for a team that wants to stop the run and needs to be better at stopping the run, I like the guy who plays downhill and with violence. And I think Cedric Gray has had a really good last couple of weeks, and I'd like to see him play in Denver.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's been one of the real revelations of this preseason, Corey. On the other side of the ball, would you keep 7 receivers if you were the Titans? And
only if I absolutely had to have one to return punts.
Yeah, so Prochet would be that guy if they can't find someone else to do the job. And what about – I know that Van Jefferson has gone through that. Everybody hates him, and now everybody's like, oh, he's actually really good. But do you feel like Io Manor is in position to get significant snaps and have a bigger role than him this season?
I think that's the hope. Look, they've given him significant time with the ones in camp and in these joint practices because, they obviously think a lot of him. And, look, you see what he looks like. He absolutely looks the part. And, you've seen in games when he gets the ball in his hands, it looks good as well. Going to Atlanta was a real eye opener for him. Because he got 2 days against A.J. Terrell. And, those were 2 tough days for him. And you got to have those to learn how high you've got to elevate your game. And so it's a matter of how quickly he can elevate. I think he's going to play early. And, the more plays and the fewer mistakes that he has, the faster he's going to ascend. But I think their hope is that ascension comes in pretty short order. And I would say in the first 3 or 4 games of the season. Having said that, about Van Jefferson's a professional, and I don't think we need to say any more than that. He's not a spectacular player. He's not a terrible player. He's a professional that they feel like they can put on the field. And that's why he's here. But Alec Iomanor needs to be the future. And that doesn't mean he needs to be out there before he's ready. But it means if he needs to be challenged a little bit, then they need to get him out there too.
So, Corey, we'll see what it looks like for him over the next, couple of weeks here before week 1 rolls around. But L'Jarius Sneed back out there last week. We'll see what his availability looks like. Yeah, that's a great question. And that's about where I'm at with it. But your thoughts on Sneed getting back out there, looking like the plan is to play in week 1. He seems to be confident that he will. What's kind of your approach here with L'Jarius Sneed, and how do you think the Titans will handle this heading into week 1?
Well, I mean, he's got 0 padded practices. I don't know how many padded practices he'll get before the season gets here. And for a guy who plays physically, I would be concerned that, I mean, it's been a year almost since he practiced and played. I'd like to see him get out there and get, some physicality under him, because there's a different element. It's not 7-on-7. Okay. It's football. There's the run game, which ideally he doesn't have to help in, but when you're going to play physically in the pass game, you got to put your pads on people and play with pads on. And so, I think, I don't know how quickly, I know they're saying they're pointing towards week 1, but is he ready to start week 1? Is he physically there to start? Because I watched Cushenberry coming back and he's huffing and puffing, trying to get his legs back under him. And he's been working hard before he ever got back out there. So, we'll see how many snaps that means in Denver. I mean, I think they're pretty hell-bent on getting him out there. They're paying him a lot of money. He's obviously a guy who's played at a really high level. I just wonder if he's had enough practice when he gets back. We'll see.
Well, Corey, I have to ask you about your optimism about your Bears and Caleb
Sure.
Williams. Seems like Ben Johnson's still a little annoyed by Caleb Williams. Is he going to be good this year?
Well, he was not annoyed against the Buffalo Bills. Okay, what did they hang 45 on the Bills?
That's true. First drive looked good.
Sean McDermott was annoyed after that game. I think there are going to be some ups and downs. I did not see the last game when they did not play particularly well. I did think that they had a step back after the Buffalo game, but against Buffalo, and Robby and I talked about this last week, the ball came out fast, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Coach Johnson to coach him to get the ball out faster than he did last year. Because if he can't, then it's not going to work. It's just that simple. So, we'll see if he's at 34 sacks 9 weeks into the season. That'd be halfway to where he was last year. He can't take 68 sacks this year. I don't think he will. But I am optimistic in the coaching that he's getting. I'm optimistic in the talent. But again, we've all watched this a long time. You can put everything in place. It doesn't always mean it's going to happen.
Corey, last thing for you here. I mean, Joey Sly hammered one on Saturday night. I mean, or Friday night, excuse me. It was an absolute shot. 63-yarder. I mean, legit, probably good from 70. Like he destroyed that ball.
Oh, so easy.
What are your thoughts on him? I mean, look, Nick Folk was really good for this team over the last couple of years. We know that there was a limited range involved with that. So what kind of a weapon can that sort of leg from Joey Sly do for this team and this quarterback?
Joey Sly is really interesting because if you gave somebody 2,000 guesses as to what his job was, NFL kicker would never come up. Okay. Never. Because he does not look the part. I talked to him in Atlanta. He was 125 pounds as a high school freshman. He wanted to be a linebacker. He put on 100 pounds in high school. He was 225 when he left high school. So the guy loves the weight room. He's very, very strong. And not only did he hit the 63-yarder, the 53-yarder that he doinked in, that hit the very top of the upright from 53. So he's got an absolute cannon. And that's a long way to say what they like about him is once they get to midfield, they know they're in range to get points. And it changes the way they can call their offense, that they know once they get to the 50, they're in range to get points. And so they valued that more than, automatic from inside, 49. And, we'll see if it pays off or not, because, there does need to be a level of consistency on PATs in particular, and then on field goals inside the 50, not just, the occasional day where you go, God, he had a 63-yarder. But, it's a weapon, and it's a weapon you're seeing more and more around the league. It's ridiculous.
I don't know what's
I mean,
going
it's
on
like
with kickers this preseason. Like Brandon
Yeah,
Aubrey hit a
he-
64-yarder the other night. The kid in Jacksonville with a 72-yarder. It's
Yeah,
wild out there.
Cam Little at the 70. Remember when at the this God, you were probably a baby when this was. This was probably like 2003. They had an issue with hot drivers in golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they need to not give these guys drug testing, but get their shoes and give them like the NASCAR scientists to come in and check out their shoes and make sure they're legal.
It's got a nice summer breeze out there. They'll slow down a little bit when the cold weather comes back.
You know, we say that, but we saw Ryan Suckup kick a frozen ball 50 yards for a win.
That hurt to
in
watch.
Kansas City.
I mean,
these guys are really incredible.
I was there that day that Baronis hit the 60-yarder, and it was pretty cold that day, too. And he smoked that one.
Yeah.
So Joey
guys-
Sly, weapon for the Titans.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you can hit from 63, that's, I mean, just think about it. You're down 2, 3, 18 seconds to go from your own 20. It changes how far you got to move the football.
Yeah, get to midfield. You're good.
You got a chance. You got a legit chance, kicking from your own 40.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Corey, awesome stuff as always. Thank you for being with us.
My God, it was spectacular.
It was. And preseason's over. Preseason's over for you, too. I mean, you're in regular season form.
All right. Hey, let me ask you, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
After the preseason, I think the Titans over-under win was 5.5. Are you guys over or under after the preseason?
I'll be honest with you, I'm going under.
Yeah, but like 5, are you thinking?
About 5.
Yeah, I think most people are right in there at 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think it's a good over-under. It's the right over-under. I'm not sure. I'm going to go through it again next week, but it's one of the two probably.
Yeah, and then let me follow up because I asked Teron we asked Teron this last night on Sports Extra. What's the one X factor outside of Cam that you think could take the Titans like in a really positive or a really negative direction?
Is Femi Oladejo or anyone able to get to the quarterback at some point?
Yeah.
Like, do they get to the quarterback at any sort of regularity?
Yeah, I think if somebody can come up and have a career year getting the quarterback, that would be a big one. Sure.
Yeah, Snead to me would be an X factor that could. I mean, if he's 2 years ago, Snead, whoa, what a boost! Or if it's going to be just constant haggling and wondering if he's going to play and then he's not very good, that can kind of drag on a team, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this team doesn't need distractions for sure.
That is true. Corey, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Corey Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. We'll react to what Corey had to say there. Take your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. I got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix at the Nashville Super Speedway coming up this weekend, August 30th and 31st. Be caller 3, 615-737-1025. Caller 3 will win a pair of tickets to the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix coming up this weekend. Appreciate Corey Curtis from News 2 for being with us in the last segment, taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. A couple of different things to get to there from Corey. Let's start on the inside linebacker front. I'm with him. I think both are going to play a lot in James Williams and Cedric Gray. I have been encouraged by what I've seen from those two because honestly, Joe, like heading into the season, it's like Cody Barton. I think he's a good player. The numbers would tell you that he's got some limitations in pass coverage. We'll see what that looks like. And he talked about that with Kuharski last week and how he feels like some of those numbers are not quite accurate, but we'll see what that looks like by the time the season comes around. But I looked at Gray and I looked at Williams and I was like, I don't know that they're going to be very strong at inside linebacker. I've been encouraged by what I've seen from those two in the preseason, with the caveat, Joe, that they have been playing against mainly backups. So you have to keep that in mind throughout this process.
No doubt. But yeah, I do think, this is I think back to David Long Jr. and what preseason exactly it was, 20 maybe. But he made all these plays, probably largely against backups, had, he worked, a lot on pass drops and things like that, had a really nice pick. And you could see with him, like, yeah, this guy's going to make plays. And that's what he did. And I think that Cedric Gray, I think when you really look at his very short career, sometimes you get down on someone or just assume, oh, this is not working out when it is just an injury, right? I mean, That's what it was last year. He was hurt. And so, sometimes it's like the running back they drafted, whose name is eluding me right now.
Darrington Evans.
Thank you. Where it's just like, well, but once he gets out there, then it's like, okay, and actually, no, really not much going on there.
No.
I think Cedric Gray looks like a pretty good football player. So, of course, do I expect like Barton Gray, if that's what it is, to be all of a sudden, the Bucs inside linebacking duo of a couple years ago? No, but he looks like an NFL player to me. And I like James Williams too. Like Corey Clarkson was asking, which would you favor? I would, based on just the preseason games, feel like Gray just is kind of coming together for him. Whereas Williams certainly has a lot of playmaking ability.
Yep.
But I feel like, again, Gray has been a linebacker, and maybe that's part of it too. Williams moving from safety, that's a trend. He obviously has figured a lot of things out, but it's nice to have. I think we're probably going to see both those guys on the field.
Well, a big roster question for today and tomorrow, too, is going to be how many receivers are the Titans keeping? We brought up earlier that Teron Davenport and Paul Kuharski have both come out with their projected 53-man rosters. Both of them have the Titans at 7 receivers, which is a lot, as we know. And as PK has pointed out, well, if you're keeping 7, that probably means whoever your number 6 guy is going to struggle to be active on game day because your number 7, if it's Prochet, is going to have to return punts. So at that point, are you activating all 7 guys on game day? That'd be hard for me to see at that point. And we know Bryce Oliver is going to make the team and he's going to play. He's like their best gunner out there. So I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah. So if he's a core special teams guy and Prochet has to make the team, and I keep going back to, can you not get DK to the point where you're okay?
I mean, that would be my question. Like, is Prochet, have you evaluated Prochet to be that much better at punt return where you feel like you've got to keep him?
And reliability is the most important thing. But to me, to do this, you need to feel like, this guy is going to change some games for us. I just don't know. I just don't know if I buy that. If I would make a guess different than TD and PK on that and guess that they're only keeping 6. But if they do, like you said, okay, so Prochet is in to return.
Yeah.
Bryce Oliver's in as a core special teams guy. So then it's
DK,
it's
right?
probably DK is the odd man out. Yeah, probably.
Or they could I guess still cut Van Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, well, but it's also like, okay, so if DK's big play ability is like, man, you just need, even for a handful of plays, that's valuable. Then does it turn into like Ioman or Van Jefferson fighting for game day active status? I don't know.
It's a really good question. Like the other part about DK beyond punt return is the speed that he brings to the table, right? I mean, you're talking about like a 4.3 guy. So, Callahan has talked about how much faster they are at wide receiver this year. Well, he's a big part of that, right? Like, I don't know. When their starters are healthy, you're probably not going to see DK out on the field all that much this year for the Titans. But when he is out there, are you trying to stretch the field with him and taking advantage of that speed? Like, how are you going to use it?
Yeah, like the Khalif Raymond idea from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Andrew says, we don't have 53 NFL caliber players. I don't care if we keep 8 or 9 receivers if it builds us up for the future. Well, yeah, but you got to have linemen.
Roster.
Yeah, you need to still have players at the positions who can play. 7 receivers, to me, you're taking a lineman away probably on either side of the ball, and I don't know if you want to do that.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Also get into Cam Ward coming up next. How ready do we feel like he is for week 1 against Denver? Take your thoughts on that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is for Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen in Donaldson. Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen, a beloved neighborhood hub featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives, offers a gourmet twist on comfort food, and you can enjoy one of their 24 taps of craft beer selections, wine, and unique canned cocktails. Get half off a $100 gift card at theGameNashville.com while supplies last. Taking your thoughts on the Titans. Cam Ward, he has gone through the preseason. He is healthy, and he is available heading into week 1. Cam Ward, the stats for the preseason is what Kuharski threw out there. 10 of 19, 145 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 1 sack, a 77.8 passer rating through 3 preseason games for Cam Ward. So, Joe, what do you make of what you've seen from Cam Ward to this point, and how do you view his readiness for week 1 against the Denver Broncos?
I'm not sure I view him the same way as Mike Tannenbaum. If people have, he just said this on the air right behind you. Cam Ward will be the best QB in the AFC South by the end of the season, and the Titans win the division. That's Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN, friend of the show. I don't share that opinion. Well, he's a friend of the show. Yeah, the last time he was acquaintance of the show.
Yeah, last time he was
running
like,
through
I
the
think
subway.
acquaintance is probably the way to do it. It's like, wow, Tannenbaum, I can't hear, and he's out there just running around the subway. Good stuff.
But even in those, the hotness of his takes can come through, man. The heat on some of his takes. I would not share that opinion. I would say there's an example of what we've seen from Cam Ward. Certainly, there's been enough to be enticed by it, right? There, you can find again. I thought the throw to Van Jefferson was terrific. Waited for him to clear on the over and put an absolute dot on him. And you put it right on his numbers. That's a pass that 19 out of 20 times in an NFL actual game is a completion, I would say, to professional receiver. So there are a few other throws that he made that you're like, oh man, you can see the talent. Someone earlier texted, I agree. I think one of the better things is he definitely has a calmness in the pocket. Now, there are examples, I believe, of quarterbacks in this league who have that and lose it at some point because of the hits they take. I mean, but he does have it, and I really like the outside stuff. Now, I like a lot of the outside stuff with Will Levis. It only goes so far, but I like his demeanor. I like the way he's attacking it. I think there's a natural leadership there with him and all that. I'm with people on the short intermediate accuracy, the footwork, not always being together, and you got to get it together. So there are concerns too, but I think he's ready to play in the NFL. And I think that the protection that this team might provide him looks like it might provide him really makes a difference in that, and that's where he may have significantly better conditions than Will Levis if he just has that. He can just, you don't have to help both tackles all the time.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be a massive change of pace from what we saw the last couple of years. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, Robby, man. Hey, so do you remember – all right, so Michael Vick got in trouble, and then he comes back. He plays with the Eagles, and he was phenomenal with the Eagles, I think especially for 1 year. Do y'all remember that season?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's kind of what I feel like it could look like with Cam. Like, I think his ceiling, dude, like he has such – because Vick had, like, control of that offense, and he was doing things on the field where you're like, oh, my God. I don't think we're going to see an average Cam. And so I think he's either going to be really, really good or really, really reckless. Like, we're going to come back and go, he's really something. I don't think he's going to be average by any means. So I don't know, man. Like, I see those are very vanilla stats that you gave in the preseason, but I think it was almost intentional. You know what I mean? Like, I think Cam could have done more. I see that almost throwing that pick in the first game. I still think about that. I'm like, dude, I don't know. But I've seen some throws where I'm like, as long as these dudes around him can make plays, he could be a really good quarterback. I just hope his team doesn't suck so bad that he kills his confidence, man. That's where I've been at all along, is that if you're around terrible people, just like bad apples, you become terrible, and I hope it doesn't happen to him.
Thank you for the call, Adam. Appreciate it. That's about where I'm at on him in terms of, like, he did nothing in the preseason to make me super concerned about him. And I wouldn't say he did anything in the preseason that I saw that makes me think that he's going to come out and just be unbelievable either, right? Like I think basically what I've thought all along is he's going to make some plays this year that you look at and you say, wow, that was really good. Like how many guys can make that play? He's probably going to make some plays throughout the season and in week 1 where you're like, ooh, that was not very good. I will be very surprised if he doesn't throw an interception in week 1. Like, it's just the way, like, it's, he's going to see a lot of things that he's never seen before at a really high level, at a really high speed for the first time against a good team on the road in altitude. Like, there's a lot of things situationally that are working against him heading into this. And that's not a bad thing. Like, it's about where does he start? Where does he end up at the end of the year? But like, there's nothing he's done in the preseason where I walked away from it thinking, oh boy, I'm really concerned about this. Like, does he need work on his footwork? Yeah. And, he's talked about that and how that's going to continually be a process with him. And it's not something that maybe you fix immediately. That's going to be a process that he has to work through as his career goes on here. But to your point earlier in the show, Joe, like you also, even with some of the footwork problems, you see him at times like standing flat-footed, just flick the wrist and the ball's right where it needs to be. Like, he's got really good arm talent, and that's not a surprise. We knew that heading into all this, but I mean, he's about on schedule of what I thought he would be.
Yeah, and those throws, if you can do those, you can make some of those throws. That's big time. You can find any of these great quarterbacks, especially the ones with the ridiculous arm talent. Like Mahomes has made some throws that are just like, yeah, and I know it's like using him as a comparison is probably a bad idea with anyone, but you need to be able to do that. If you can do that, that separates you. But also, can you have the footwork consistent enough so that, again, those short intermediate things are automatic?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're probably going to see some growing pains there too. Texter says, not sure the Titans are going to win the division when their offensive line, receiver room, running back room, defense are on the bottom 5 in the NFL. It doesn't matter how good Cam Ward is if he doesn't have pieces around him. Well, I don't know if their O-line or running back room are bottom 5 in the NFL. But, yeah, the division, that's a silly prediction. Cam Ward being the best quarterback in the division by the end of the year. I mean, I doubt that one too, but boy.
Yeah, I mean,
if there's even a discussion about him, like comparing him to CJ Stroud by the end of the year and like who's better, well, then it's been a good year, even if they win 5 games.
Yeah, it means either really good things for Cam Ward or really bad things for CJ Stroud. One of the two.
That's true too.
Yeah. So, I mean, look. Right now, the Colts quarterback is Daniel Jones, right? So, not feeling great about that if you're Indianapolis. Trevor Lawrence, I think it's a huge year for him. We'll see what he looks like. But basically, with me, until I see Trevor Lawrence go out there and do it on a consistent basis, I'm just going to assume that he is what he's been, which is okay. Nothing that really blows you away, and that he's fine out there at quarterback. So, long term, like, if Cam Ward is what the Titans think he is, it probably shouldn't take him that long to be right there in the discussion with CJ Stroud in the division. To the texter's point, how equipped is he going to be to do that this year? I think there are limitations on that based on where their roster is right now.
Yeah. Look, it's still one of the encouraging things about the preseason was the offensive line, but I don't know. Is it possible those guys just get absolutely ragdolled by the Broncos in the first game?
It is.
And all of a sudden we'll be like, oh, there it is again, that Tennessee Titans offensive line. I think it's encouraging. The fact that there haven't been huge issues there like there have been in previous preseasons, that's good. It's better. They're better. But how much better? How consistently better? Huge question. If you have that, then I think with Ridley and some of these other guys, I mean, he's going to have plays that he can make.
Well, you bring up the challenge in week 1, and we'll get deeper into the Broncos next week. But I'm just looking at, at Warren Sharp, at Sharp Football Analysis. He did a front 7 rankings for all 32 teams in the NFL. And number 1 is the Vikings. Number 2 is the Denver Broncos. So there's your front 7 on defense. Again, it's one person, it's Warren Sharp, but he, according to his formula, they are the number 2 front 7 in the league. Oh, and by the way, Patrick Surtain's out there at cornerback too, so you got him to worry about. Like, it's a really good defense that they're about to go up against.
It is. It's a really good team. I mean, I don't think I see definitely out there a little bit of could the Broncos beat the Chiefs? Now, is that overhyping? Maybe I have a little PTSD from the Broncos hyping when they got Russ.
Yeah.
Ooh, my goodness.
Worked out well.
Yeah, but that's a very good team. And yes, that in particular, that side of the ball in particular, you can't really ask for a tougher challenge. So, I just think that the smart thing is that you put Brandon Allen in and you say, Cam, maybe week 2. We'll have to see how good the Rams look in week 1. If not, week 3. Okay?
Is Brandon Allen going to be the guy? PK said Friday that he's not going to totally discount the idea of Trevor Siemian being QB2. Said he would not totally discount it.
Yeah. I don't know.
He doesn't think Brandon Allen has enough arm.
Yeah. How much does Siemian have?
Trevor,
I don't see a huge
this is
difference.
Simeon's third stint with the Titans.
Well, Siemian, I will say he definitely looks, especially like right out of the gate. I was like, man, not bad. Looks better than he did the last time he came here, where he was actually quite a disappointment. So there you go. You can keep getting better even in your 30s, people.
I did. I missed Tim Boyle the other night. That was tough on me. I was out there looking. I was like, man, need me one more nice Tim Boyle performance in the preseason.
I mean, Cam Ward was like, it was great to see the people. I wish they would have stayed. I probably would have left too. I love that quote. But it's like, but what if Boyle was here? If the people had Tim Boyle to watch, would they not have stayed? I think they might have.
And it hung on a little longer. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I'd like to see the crowd stay a little bit more. I'd have probably got out of there too, though. I'd have probably been gone.
I'd have gone before halftime.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. A lot of your thoughts to get to on the Titans front. We will do that next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode broadcasting from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our reigning Robby and Rexrode Fantasy Football League champion, Kyle in Shelbyville. Kyle, good morning. How we doing?
Boom.
Hey, guys. Good morning. It's good to talk to you. Just feels good outside. The season feels like it's here.
It's football weather.
Yes. It's been a long training camp, and it's been rough. But one of the good things I really did enjoy out of it was the middle linebacker battle. I think Cedric Gray should have won it. I don't know how it's going to pan out. I did want James Williams to win at first. I just thought he's more of the style that we needed for linebacker, but I'm excited to see if Gray can pull it out and get it. But my wife's excited for him too. Another thing, this season, last year was just pretty rough and everything, but I don't know what it was after this preseason's over now. I'm just really excited for it, and I just feel like, it's going to be a lot better than the negativity I've been bringing to the show a lot lately, and I'm just really excited for it, guys. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. Look, I hope so. I was thinking about this the other day. I went to a wedding this weekend, and people were, so how do you think Titans are going to be this year? Or how do you think the Predators are going to be this year? And as we got to talking about it, I was just like, boy, I'd really like for one of them to be good. That'd be awesome, right? Like, we got a lot of bad sports to watch around here lately at the professional level. I would really love if one of those teams were pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Or at least better than you think.
Yeah. Nashville SC is good.
Yeah.
Got
Vanderbilt
back on the winning track. Nashville SC, yeah, big win.
Vanderbilt, things are looking up. So there's some, some things going well, but those two franchises, it's we've talked about it before. It's probably the worst that they've been together
collectively. Yes.
For a stretch that we've seen. It's depressing. So it's good to hear anyone who has, that's what you should feel right now. You should feel some optimism. You should feel some excitement and not just be resigned to your Titans being the low T Titans this year.
Yeah. And hopefully they don't go out there to Denver and get beat by 27 in week 1.
Yeah.
This is a low T alert.
That's the thing.
Might get some mileage out of that one this year.
That one.
It's
like the bat signal. Yeah, look, they might go get smoked by Denver. Okay, they might. But
we brought up the lines earlier. What I have not looked at this, so I don't know.
Last I saw was 8.
8? Okay,
that's a big line in an NFL game.
But
it's not massive.
But that was last week at some point, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough opening game.
7.5, moving down. 7.5 on FanDuel Sportsbook.
Money coming on the other Titans.
Come on, Titans.
Okay, that's interesting to me. Yeah, look. You should be excited because you should be excited about Cam Ward. I'm not saying it's going to work out beautifully and he's going to end up being your franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. But right now, yeah, you should be excited about his talent, his approach, his journey to here. The potential is there. And someone said this earlier, and I know we'll talk more about this before the season comes, but certainly this is in the NFL. For things to work out, you need partnerships you need the quarterback, but you also need the play caller and the offensive coordinator, play designer to be good. And you need protection. You need a run game, weapons. It's much more of a team sport than we make it out because we talk about the quarterbacks all the damn time. But I think that there are some things around him that give him a better chance than the last guy. Not saying the last guy got screwed. I would have moved on too. But I do think that the Titans have done some things here and maintained some things. Like with Pollard and Ridley, I think those guys are going to be good this year to give Cam Ward more of a chance. That's what you should be optimistic about.
Man, I keep looking on my Twitter. Like, there are a lot of people really mad about Shedeur Sanders. And I guess Kevin Stefanski was intentionally sabotaging him this weekend. A lot of that going on out there. With
some
Shedeur
of the
Sanders
conversation,
right
some of the, it's like the conversation about when he was drafted, the NFL colluded. No, they're all just afraid of him. And he screwed it up. They screwed it up. Yeah, this idea of, Dylan Gabriel got protection and the lineman stopped blocking for Shedeur. It's like, okay, man. I will say the only thing about it that bothers me is if you're Kevin Stefanski, You really you need Snoop Huntley to be in that 2-minute drill. You're cutting him the next day.
Yeah, we don't need to see.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. Why wouldn't you give him that opportunity?
I agree. No, we don't.
So
need to
now,
see
if you're him, you can't be angry on the sideline, and he's already been asked about that and all that stuff. It's just it's just incredible soap opera. But yes, so like this conversation about him reminds me of the Caitlin Clark. It's like one side or the other, dramatically. Well,
it's an absolute circus.
Like a lot of conversations, but it's like. You really think that like Kevin Stefanski is trying to sabotage him? Why? He needs a quarterback.
One of them. Yeah, just get one.
And Gabriel was really Gabriel was really good the other day. So maybe I've never believed that Gabriel could be or would be better than Shedeur Sanders. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, some of that stuff out there is insane.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
Some of the conversation around this thing. And apparently the Vikings got a good look at their backups the other night against the Titans, and they said,
Wentz wagon.
Thanks, but no thanks. We're going to go get Carson Wentz out there. Carson Wentz doesn't need any preseason football. Let's bring him in as the backup.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
They're just like, sight unseen Carson Wentz, QB2. Go. What?
Which, again, I've talked about before, like what I want out of my backup quarterback, and it's largely to, come in and take care of the ball. That's what Carson Wentz does. He takes care of the football. It's like, oh, good. You have no idea where Carson Wentz may throw the ball out there.
He's coming in. He is coming in to absolutely make plays, man, whether you like it or not. Like, to me, it's like, it's like, well, if the kid gets hurt again, let's get a high pick.
Yeah, I guess so. But congratulations, Carson Wentz. I don't know if he's going to land a job this year, but now he's in there with Minnesota.
Yeah, I did not think that he would be on a roster, and he's a QB too on a roster. And in bad news on the QB front, at least for people around here who care about the Vols, didn't go well for Hendon Hooker.
And I don't think he's going to be in Detroit anymore.
I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I really, I thought at this point we'd finally have enough time and health and all that he would really establish himself, and he didn't. So that's a tough break for him. But Kyle Allen is clearly the better QB.
That's not a good spot to be.
No,
not a good spot to be. Joe, welcome back. Good to have you back in here today.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. That does it for us today on the program. Another spot in the Robby and Rexrode Fantasy League to give away tomorrow. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.